All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Cases and Connect with Lawfluence. Today I'm with Mr. Jonathan Breeden here. Jonathan, if you want to introduce yourselves to the audience and talk about a bit about what you do, where you guys are located, and how long maybe you've been in the practice for.
My name is Jonathan Breeden. I'm an attorney here in the suburbs of Raleigh, North Carolina. We've been in business here for 25 years. We have offices in Lake County, which is where Raleigh is located, which Cary is one of the suburbs of Raleigh. We also have offices in Garner and Smithfield and Angier in the counties surrounding Raleigh and Wake County, North Carolina. It's the fastest growing area in the country. It and Austin, Texas, and Las Vegas, Nevada, and when you look at the fastest growing area, so it's a fast growing area here in the Triangle area of North Carolina. We do family law, so anything that relates to the family, whether it be child custody, child support, divorce, alimony, equal distribution, adoptions, guardianships, simple wills. We do all types of stuff as it relates to the family here at the Breeden Law Office. We have 11 attorneys in total, along with three paralegals and support staff. We have a phone team in El Salvador. We have virtual assistants in the Philippines. So we've got a lot of different people helping us around the world to provide a high level of service here to the citizens of the Triangle in North Carolina.
Amazing. That's great to hear. Uh, just to dive into it, Jonathan, I know you mentioned that you guys practice family law. So essentially, what originally led you to practice law and kind of what keeps you motivated today to keep helping your clients, especially within the family law field?
Yeah, I got into law, and I tell this all the time because I was in the ninth grade, and I'm in Marburg, North Carolina, which is a small town in the North Carolina South Carolina line, not far from south of the border. Anybody that's driven down I-95 in the East Coast has been by south of the border. This Mexican themed sideshow on the side of the road with shops and a big sombrero and all that. Anyway, I grew up not far from there, a very poor area of the world. And I was the son of a CPA and a emergency room nurse. And I had one of those teachers, Spencer Willard, when I was in ninth grade, that really inspires you. We've all had them. Nathan, you had them, I had them.
100%.
And I had to take a
100%.
civics class, right? They require a civics class
Correct.
in North Carolina. They still require it today, all these years later. And we had to read the Federalist Papers. And you had to read about Alexander Hamilton and all the people, the different John Jay and the other Federalist Papers, the Constitution, and those men back then were sort of pushed by this overarching sense of justice, right? These inalienable rights that we're born with.
Right.
Look at the first paragraph of the Declaration of Independence, and we start reading those documents. I've got this teacher, and it's a seminar type thing, and we're asking questions, and I was like, man, this is really neat. And I thought, and everybody said I like to talk and I like to argue. And I was a pretty smart guy, and I also got to algebra 2, and I was good at math till I got to algebra 2. But I could really write, and I love to read, and I could really write, and I could speak and make arguments. And I was like, you know what, like maybe I should be a lawyer. So that's when I decided to be an attorney. Um, yeah, I started my own law practice straight out of law school in 2000. So I went to camp. I went to
Oh,
NC
wow.
State, a big Wolfpack fan. ACC basketball is going on right now,
Yeah,
and
100. Yep.
yeah, it's great. Yeah, and so we really did that was a ton of fun. And I went to Campbell's Law School. It's about 45 minutes south of Raleigh. That law school is now in downtown Raleigh. And came out of there, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start my own practice. Like, I didn't have any money. I didn't have a girlfriend. I thought, let's start out and I don't make any money. It's not going to matter. It's just me, right? And whatever
Right.
little
Right.
amount of money I made, I was going to be rich. You know what I mean? Because I didn't have any. Whatever I could
Right.
make was a lot, right? I didn't have to change my lifestyle, Nathan. So
Right.
I started out for 2 years. I didn't have any help at all, right? I just did it myself. I forwarded my phones to a StarTAC flip phone that had a little antenna, and you're probably too young to remember that, but people didn't know, all you listeners know. And and I would go to court and I'd do court appointed work. I'd represent um, parents whose children were in foster care, trying to get them out of foster care. I'd represent parents who couldn't pay their child support. I did misdemeanors. I did felonies. I did some mental health hearings for people that, were being committed because they had mental health problems. Just different things, and it was really a lot of fun, and
Mhm.
started to grow the business. Family
Right.
law is by sort of by accident, right? Like I'm out here in the suburbs. I'm starting out. I'm doing anything and everything that might pay the bills, except real estate closings, and there were a ton of those because
Mhm.
of the growth. Yeah, I didn't want to do real estate closings.
Right,
And
right.
so I started taking family law cases, and I found that I really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed representing parents whose kids had been put into foster care and trying to work through their issues to try to get those kids back. And so I really felt like, while they weren't the best parents in the world, they were still those kids' parents.
Right.
And that's what sort of started to draw me to family law. Was having some success helping those children get back with their parents. And now we help children every day, have relationships with their parents, have different relationships with
Right.
their parents. And every once in a while, we're still up in DSS court trying to get kids out of foster care.
Amazing. It sounds like ever since 2000, man, the ambition's been there, huh? The ambition to practice family law, and you know, having started since 2000, it sounds like you've handled a lot of cases over the years. So, I guess my question would be, like, what type of client or case do you feel like you work best with when it comes to family law?
You know, our we seem to work best with people that are like me. You know what
Mm.
I mean? Mid-career professionals,
Right.
been married anywhere from 10 to 30 years. They've got a couple of kids, maybe in high school, middle school, maybe a kid in college. They earn, you know, 100 to $250,000 a year.
Hmm.
That seems to be who we work best with. That's definitely who we can relate to because that's me, right? You
Right.
know what I'm
Right.
saying? And so,
Right. Right.
while I've never been divorced, thank goodness, I do understand the life experiences that they're going through, at that time. I have a son in high school. I've got a daughter in middle school. I've now been married 18 years, so I mean, I can relate to them. And so, that seems to be, and of course, not working for free over here. So we do charge, a fairly decent amount of money. And so they also are people that can afford to pay us as well. But I think they also are in a position to value the services. I think they realize we're
Right.
doing they're more likely to listen to us and maybe not quite be as emotional as maybe some other clients. So that seems
Hmm.
to be sweet spot is mid-career professionals between the ages of 40, 45, and 60.
Okay.
And for
Mhm.
whatever reason, the relationship's not working out.
There you go. And you mentioned mid-career professionals and like the ages being like in the 40s. It gets pretty specific. So I was wondering if there's like a case you're specifically proud of, or is there a specific case you can talk about publicly? And kind of what was the result of that case, and how has your law firm differentiated themselves to, I guess, win that case for that individual in a way that maybe even another law firm couldn't do that?
Yeah, I don't know if another law firm could do it because another law firm wasn't in it, but I did take a pro
Mhm.
bono case 7 or 8 years ago for a young man, who, was coming out of prison, and he had been in prison for selling drugs. He was not a drug user, he was just
Mhm.
drug seller,
Right.
and he had a young child. This young man lived in Alabama. He had a young child that lived here in the Raleigh area, and I was contacted by a father's rights group in Atlanta, and it asked me. They vetted the guy. They were like, "Look, like this is a legit thing," and he actually had gone through the trouble and gotten a court order that gave him some visitation with his son, and at that time his son was young, um,
Right.
5, 6 years old, and the mother just would not follow the court order and didn't think some poor convict from Alabama was gonna be able to do anything about it,
Right.
because, who was gonna represent this guy, right? And
Mm.
so,
Mhm.
I took that case, and it went on for years and years, and eventually, in well, yeah, I don't even know what year, probably 2019 area, we ultimately got that father. It may be going into COVID, we ended up getting that father custody of that child.
Wow.
Um, I think it was during COVID, yeah, and the child has lived in Alabama ever since, has thrived, is now in high school, is an athlete, great young man, and has done really well, and it wasn't that the mother was a bad mom, but the mother just was not gonna let him see this
Mm,
child any consistency at all, right?
right.
For whatever dislike she had from him, she had 4 children, 3 different fathers. The other fathers got to see their
Right.
kids, but this guy, she just was not gonna allow that to happen, and ultimately,
Mhm.
the court knew the only way that this relationship was going to continue or even flourish was to for him to have the child because she was just not gonna follow the court order. And
Right.
ultimately to jail for that and, sued me in federal court, snapping, and I mean, it was a mess. But anyway, the child is doing well now.
That's good.
Father's doing well. Everything is good. So, that's one that'll always, whether I'd gotten paid on it or not, it was just even where that father was, what he was facing, to be able to help him, was a great feeling.
Right. I mean, you saved a long-lasting relationship between the father and his son. And I mean, that also just kind of highlights maybe was that like one of the most meaningful or impactful cases for sure that you've secured for a client, like allowing that father to be able to still be a part of that child's life. That's a great accomplishment.
Yeah, no, and we've done that a lot. Like, I mean, we did another case, back in 21 where father was not being allowed to see the child at all, and this was a young child. And there was
Mhm.
really nothing wrong with the father other than the mother didn't like the fact that they had separated and that he was dating a white woman, and she
Wow.
didn't like
Yeah.
that, and,
Right.
it's an African American male, and, she was not gonna and so we went and got him visitation for his child, and much like the other case, the lady didn't wanna follow it. Finally, we got her into court, and the judge said, "You violate this order one more time, I'm gonna put you in jail." I thought the judge should have put her in jail the first time, but the judge gave her one more chance, and,
Mhm.
the rest is history. They've been sharing that child now for 5 years. I get a Christmas card most years. Uh, Things
That's
going
nice.
well.
That's nice.
Dad's now married to the girlfriend that he was with at the time, and, I don't think those parents are best friends. If that child knows his entire father and the father's got a great family, they wouldn't have known otherwise. And, that was
Mhm.
another one that we had sort of pro bono, but still, it's funny how those are the ones that come back that come to the top of your mind. We've read hundreds of cases, but
Mhm.
those are the ones that often come back. So I would encourage anybody listening, you definitely should do. I don't know what kind of law you do, whatever. Like you should do some stuff.
Right, right.
You know what I mean? You should be able to
100%.
charge enough and be profitable enough and collect enough that you
Right.
can do some stuff free. I'm fortunate. I got a lot of young attorneys. They need practice. This gets them motivated to do family law where they can help people like this. So I think it's a good thing for people.
100%. And, when you reach out to or not, when they reach out to you, it seems like especially this is such a, I guess, sensitive case, because a father's fighting for the rights to still have a relationship with his child, especially in the court of law. So when someone first reaches out to your firm that's kind of maybe being in the same situation, because you said, you've handled hundreds of cases similar to this one, how would you say you make them feel understood and cared for that allows them to work with you?
Well, I mean, you meet with them and you listen,
Right.
right? You just listen. You don't try to solve the problem. You don't tell them
Mhm.
everything you need to know. You don't go, what if, what if, what if, what if, instead of being engineered. You don't give them pie in the sky, you know, what could happen. You just listen. You know
Right.
what I mean? And if you can do that and you can connect with the client, then the representation becomes easier. They begin to trust you, you trust them, and it makes it easier to present your case ultimately to a judge who hopefully is going to side with you to allow this parent-child relationship to be
Right.
established, or flourish, or even continue in some cases because some situations these parents are just not going to allow the other side to be involved. And it's 9 times out of 10, they're feeling if it's the mom doing it to the dad, sometimes the dad does it to the mom, we've got those cases, uh,
Mhm.
it is because the relationship ended, and it's the emotions over the end of the relationship
Yeah.
and the new girlfriend, the new boyfriend that are driving the decisions try to affect children's relationship with their parents, which is
Yeah.
terrible. I do think the courts do a pretty good job of seeing right through that and making
Mhm.
decisions for the child.
That's good. Yeah. And what would you say you wish more clients knew before they reached out to you, whether they be in that same position as that father or within anything really surrounding family law or estate law?
I think, depending on what you're doing, if you're heading into a separation or divorce, or if you're living together and you have kids and you're separating, it's the same thing to me. I don't care if you're married or not. You know, I think the number one thing people need to do if they're heading into a separation, the first time they even begin to think they might be separating is
Mhm.
make a budget, right? Figure
Right.
out what your budget is for where you are and figure out what your budget is for where you're going. Because I think that a lot of people don't have a budget where they live and don't really know what it's costing them to live, and they
Right.
don't know what it's gonna cost for them to live apart. It costs 60 to 70%, Nathan, to live apart more apart than it does together. Well,
Wow.
if
Yeah.
you're gonna separate, you're not gonna be able to add 60 to 70% to this joint unit's
Yeah.
paycheck, right?
Important statistic.
And
Yeah.
and that's the thing, and so budgeting is so crucial in this, um, as so that what you can and can't do, and you're gonna have to understand, you know, 55% of households in America live check to check, right? So, odds are, at least half these cases, there's nothing extra, and they're probably going to credit cards to buy groceries. Um, Not
Mhm.
because they have to, but because of poor financial decisions that they're making, eating out, trips they can't afford, clothes they can't afford. That's a whole nother debate for another day, Nathan. But I'm just saying,
Mhm. Mhm.
like I think that that's the number one mistake people make going into this. Now, custody, they have to
Right.
understand it's going to be some version of shared custody. It may not be 50-50, but both sides are going to have substantial time with the children, you're going to have to be okay with the fact that children are spending substantial amounts of time away from you, figure out hobbies and activities and jobs you can do while they're there, and begin
Right.
to look forward to time when you're not having to be a parent and recognize the other side's time for them to parent the child, right? So that's important as well. But you know, but the other parts of the finances part is you need a budget, right? And you need to figure
Yeah.
out leaving, who's going, what's it called? Rent is crazy right now. I mean, in this area, a two-bedroom apartment's $1,425 a month. I mean, that's crazy.
Mhm.
Years ago it was 9.95, right? So,
Right.
I mean, I'm
Right.
just saying, like, it's just, there's a housing shortage in the triangle where we're at in North Carolina because so many people are moving here. Houses haven't caught up, apartments haven't caught up, and then the apartments they're building are really high-end, fancy apartments.
Right.
Charge a
Right.
bunch of money for them, they got tons of amenities. They're great, but it does make it hard for people who are out here just trying to make a living working or
Right.
earn something, to find a place to live. And so, I mean, it's, all of these things become very important and it takes planning, right? Like most people know that the relationship is coming to an end 6 to 12 months before it does. Start planning then, not when somebody kicks you out or move out.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I advise people.
100%. You gotta be prepared off the bat, especially with the budget. That's gonna be coming into a big play for those people. I can see that for sure. And, when these clients find you, are they doing it through maybe referrals or content that you're posting on Instagram maybe, or ads, maybe Google? Like, how do they find you and how can they reach out to you?
I mean, everywhere. I mean, to be honest, we are, we have 4 locations. So we have 4 Google My Business listings. All of our Google My Business listings are optimized. We drive reviews to all of the listings. They have pictures. They have our hours. They have unique phone numbers for each location. So that's important. We have a very good SEO team in Postali, Columbus, Ohio, helps us
Mhm.
do that. We spend a fair amount of money on local service ads, LSAs, which is a version of Google pay per click. And we get some work from that. We do traditional pay per click ads. We get some work from that. We do
That's
some
good.
Facebook. We get a little work from that. we get referrals. We're in the community. We're around. We've been at the same place for 25 years. So we get some of that. So it's a little bit of everything. Um, we have a book. People buy the book or download the book, or somebody gives them a copy of the book.
Mhm.
That drops girls to us as well.
Right.
It's called Divorce Law in North Carolina, What You Need to Know. It's available on my website at breedenfirm.com. That's BREEDenfirm.com. Or it's on Amazon or wherever you can find books to download. I think it's on Amazon. And you can also get it on the website for free. Or you can call us and we'll send you one. So an actual physical book. But yeah, it's a little bit of everything, right? But we
Mhm.
do track the different lead sources and whether we're making money or not. I didn't do that for a long time, but over the
Mm.
last 4 or 5 years, I probably have 45 phone numbers. I use CallRail to sort of track those numbers and figure out how many calls are working, where leads are coming from. It's not a perfect system, but it's pretty good, and I have a pretty good idea what's working and what's not.
100%. So it sounds like it's very, very hard to not find you. Is what it's sounding like right now. Uh, and would you say your guys' case flow has been steady over the last few months? I mean, with all these ads and everything, like how many clients would you guys say you're serving per month, if you guys can disclose that,
Yeah,
of course?
at any one time, we have more than 300 active cases in this
Mm,
office. Um, you know, we, we're trying to meet with as many people as want to meet with us. We've always been, um, we've been growing so fast. The area's growing fast. We're growing.
right,
That we always sort of had to create caps on funnels. So we had to, charge $250 for consults and, you know,
right,
charge
right.
probably more than average in our area for us to work on the case and stuff like
Right,
that.
right.
Because we've been pretty much at capacity the whole time while we continue to grow. And we have a
Mhm.
lot of young attorneys, which means there's gonna be turnover.
Right.
If you're bat 50% on a young attorney at 1 year, you're beating the national average. So,
Right.
a fair amount of turnover among the attorneys. And so with that and the growth, we just keep along here. We just hired 3 brand new attorneys in the last 6 weeks. We're recording this in the middle
Oh,
of
there you go.
December 25. We just hired 3 brand new attorneys, and a brand new, consult legal assistant. So now we have a non-attorney helping us do the consults, follow up, meet with people. We're gonna
Mhm.
hope that helps our conversion rate by helping build better relationships.
Right. 100%. Because in general, I think across industries, it's all about building those relationships. And kind of just to build onto that point, since they can find you through so many things and you have so many, I guess, employees that are accessible to talk to your clients, when someone chooses your firm specifically through whether it be a Google ad or they saw your book and they read your book and they wanted to reach out to you, what do you think ultimately makes them say yes?
I think the advertising and the content that's out there needs to speak to them and where they are and answer their questions. And we do a lot to try to answer our clients' questions when they start to look for an attorney. You know what I mean? We have hundreds of YouTube videos answering
Mhm.
common questions. I have my own podcast, Best of Johnston County, which is a community podcast where I interview interesting people from around my county, just southeast of Raleigh. It is where I-95 and I-40 meet. If you've ever been down
Mhm.
either one, the 2 biggest interstates in the United States, they meet about 10 miles from my office in my county. And I interview just local elected officials, business leaders, community leaders, nonprofits, and every 4th or 5th episode, I answer common family law questions. So that's another way to drive business is through my podcast. It's on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Um, we also, have lots of blogs, right? So we write lots of blogs about, stuff. It's content, Nathan. It's all about
Right, right.
content. It's
100%.
blog writing, it's video creation, it's the podcast. I
Mhm.
am trying to answer questions. And so if you see me answering a question, that's how I can build how I can build a rapport with you that
Right.
trust me before you ever come in. Most of the
100%.
people that come in are pre-sold on me and this firm before they get here. They read the five-star reviews, they read the book, see the videos, they listen to the
Mhm.
podcast. The only question really becomes, can they afford what we are charging? A lot of
Right.
them cannot, but
Right.
I don't control that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, so I mean that's what we're doing. Five-star reviews are huge, right? Huge. Answer all of them. And even if you get a
Mhm.
one-star review, answer that one too.
Right,
You know
100%.
what I mean? I mean, show the public that you're interacting. Show the public that you care.
Mhm.
While we're doing cases, Nathan, we call the clients and ask them, rate us 1 through 10. On the likelihood you'd refer us to a friend or family member. It's a 9 or
Mhm.
10. Great. We're gonna send them a thing. We're gonna thank them for doing that. Send them a link to maybe give us a five-star review in the middle of the case. If it's
Mhm.
anything less than a 9, I got a problem.
Right.
Even an 8's not good, and I
Right,
need to
right.
fix that. So, we then that triggers a task that goes over to the supervising attorney, figure out with the attorney what's going on. Can we make this client happy so they'll give us the 9 or 10 next so it's all about the client experience, right?
Mhm.
I just Breeden don't really practice law anymore. I manage this place, which sort of maybe manages me sometimes. But the
Right.
one thing that I focus on is how can I try to create a consistent product, a consistent experience that I would be proud to put my name
Mm.
on. Name is on
Right.
it
Right.
every single time. No different than McDonald's, Papa John's, Domino's Pizza, same thing. How can those franchisees present the same product and the same experience, regardless of where you're getting it in the United States? Well, I'm trying to do the same thing across 10 other attorneys that work for me and the hundreds of clients, as if I was doing it. Are they getting the same
Right.
experience? I was doing it, and that's what I'm trying to do.
100%. And that's what it's all about. That's super important. From that 1 star to 5 star review, you just got to be there for your clients, meet them where they're at. I've talked to another, as I mentioned before, I call this employment litigation attorney. He said the same exact thing. You got to meet clients where they're at. So that being said, would you say because you're able to do that, is there a specific story or moment where a client told you that they picked you specifically over a different lawyer?
Yeah, we run into that. Yeah, I mean that happens.
Hmm.
And sometimes we get cases where people have decided to change lawyers. You know what I mean? And the reason people are unhappy with their lawyer, every lawyer knows they say this from the first day of law school to now is lack of communication. It's
Right.
just
Right.
failing to communicate with your client. That is the problem that most lawyers face. And most lawyers have more cases than they should have. They don't charge enough money to have the staff that they need to properly communicate and work the cases they have. They don't have
Right.
the systems that are necessary to communicate and follow up and move cases along. And clients just go months and months and months and hear nothing from their lawyer, hear nothing about their case. That is the experience most people have when they hire a lawyer in the United States. The bar for customer service, according to Joey Coleman, who wrote Never Lose a Client Again, this is a great book, came out in 2018. He's a reformed attorney, as he says, is laying on the ground. And if you do anything to try to raise it, you're going to stand out in a crowded marketplace.
Right. 100%. And what would you say is the part of running your practice that you kind of wish took maybe less time or you wasted fewer hours on when it comes to like talking to specific clients?
Now, I've gotten much better at giving off all the jobs I used to do. If you'd have talked to me 6 months ago, I was still doing a lot of billing. And that was taking a ton of time, but we trained somebody to do the billing, and we have several checks and balances on the bills. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I probably spend too much time on email. There's no excuse for me not hiring somebody to manage my email. I should do that. I have 2 employees in the Philippines that would be glad to manage
Mhm.
my email for me. I like email.
Right.
I get lost in it. It's somewhat mindless. I think I'm doing something when I'm not. So
Mhm.
if there was one thing that I probably should get rid of is managing my own email inbox is one of the things that probably is a big drain. But you
Mm.
have to ask yourself on any job you're doing, and what a lawyer's time is worth, 4 or 5, $600 an hour, whatever it is. Are you doing $400 hour job or are you doing a $15 an hour job? And if the job you're doing is a $15 an hour job, you should get somebody to do it for you so that you can get to more focused on the $400 an hour jobs. And I think attorneys get lost in that. They want to do everything. I did that for many, many years and I couldn't grow because of it. But
Right.
once I started learning to delegate and training and hiring new people, the sky was the limit.
Right. 100%. And just to build on to that, if everything worked exactly the way you wanted for the next 6 to 12 months when it comes to your marketing, what would your ideal case flow kind of look like from maybe now till that ideal 6 months from now?
I mean, I would think, you know, we just shot TV commercials. We've never done TV. And they're
Mhm.
gonna start running in January, and we're gonna use them in streaming, and we're gonna target households that have searched for family law terms in the previous 30 days. It's amazing that they can do that now. They can
Right.
actually target households or they can target phones that where the person is married and using a dating app.
Yep.
What is
Yeah.
asking about you right now is
They know
absolutely crazy,
everything.
right? It is I don't even wanna know how they can target these ads, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty scary.
That's
But
really
no, so we're gonna get into we're gonna see. Maybe
Mhm.
we've not done TV. This will be a new thing. We shot some TV
Mhm.
commercials. I mean, we're gonna do that, but I don't see any reason why, we couldn't grow another 50% next year, 30 to 50%. That's what we've been doing the
Mhm.
last few years. I mean, we got some better systems. Our systems need to be better, but we're continuing to get better and hiring new team members. That we have, training systems now for attorneys and paralegals and all of that stuff. So we're doing a pretty good job, I think, and continue to get tons and tons of 5-star reviews, get tons and
Mhm.
tons of net promoter scores of tens or tens. So hopefully we'll continue to grow. Hopefully that
Right.
young
100%.
attorneys that are here will continue to get better. They'll stick with us, and we'll move forward.
100%. And I wish the same. I wish that for you, to grow. That's the ultimate goal, always. And what would that allow you and your team? Because I know you're on taking so many employees. So, what would that do for you and your team or your clients to experience if you guys are able to reach kind of that ideal growth in 6 months? Like, what would that allow you guys to do?
Well, I mean, the main thing is I believe, honest to goodness, that we serve the public better than the other family law attorneys in the triangle.
Mm, mhm.
Our responsiveness, our ability to move cases, the results we get are as good or better than anywhere else. So to me, we have a duty to serve more clients because we do it the right way. We
Right,
proactively communicate. We answer emails. We return your
right.
phone calls. We move
Mm,
your case. You get regular bills every 2 or 3 weeks if we're doing something like you're getting a ton of information from us that you wouldn't be getting from somewhere else. The funny thing is, if you've never hired an attorney, you don't know how good you have it because we're so good at it. But the people who
right,
come from the other law firms think we're like the greatest things in the world because of how we communicate and how
yeah.
the other law firms don't. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the goal is to try to continue to help more families, help more children, and do it the right way, and how people get value for the money they're spending, and feel like somebody has advocated for them and not told them something that wasn't true, just to get them to pay money to go have a trial that was unwinnable. That's why we keep doing what we're doing.
Mhm.
If we continue to be profitable, we can share those profits with our team members,
Right,
more and more, even more than we have. We can continue to get pay raises and do stuff for them. So,
right.
all of that stuff is important as well. We give a ton to the community. I mean a ton. I mean, my logo's on the high school football field. My logo's on the high school picnic trailer. My logo's
Right.
hanging on a banner at the barn at the FFA, Future Farmers of America, right? We
Yeah, yeah,
sponsor
yeah.
tons of soccer teams and little league baseball teams and little league basketball and all of that stuff, right? And so as long as
Mhm.
we're profitable, we continue to do that and continue to give the community the way we have.
100%. That's super nice. I would growing up, I played little league baseball and I would always see these kinds of ads for these dentists, these
Yeah.
lawyers. It's all around it's all around me. So, I was like, "Damn, this is really cool kind of what they're doing with the baseball field and they add these ads." It's like, how can you miss them, right? And from a marketing standpoint, like you're sending your kid to go play baseball, right? But there's so many ads of like, "Hey, the dentist. There's a local dentist here. I should probably reach out. Yeah, we don't have a dentist right now. Same with a lawyer, right? So that's actually really cool, even from a marketing standpoint. But kind of just nearing the end here, uh, kind of what's one case result or outcome you think that more people should know about for you, but you really haven't talked about it online? Like, think about maybe a specific case that had such a
Well,
big turnaround that maybe you haven't really
yeah,
talked about, but it could be really beneficial to like
I
explain.
mean, no, like I said, the story I told earlier about the young man from Alabama,
Mm,
stuff like that. I mean, I'm not representing famous people or any of that
mm,
stuff. I mean, I've represented a couple of pseudo famous people,
okay.
they're regular people like everybody
Mm,
else. You know what I
right.
mean? And we try to do everything you can to try to keep that stuff out of the courts if you humanly can, and try to get it resolved. Because I mean, people have a right to privacy like everything else. So I don't have any other cases like that. I mean, I think that if you're doing things the right way, you're communicating with clients, you're setting realistic expectations, trying to move the case. Because here's the thing: 90% of the practice of law, family law, or whatever, is getting it over with and communicating.
Mm,
If you can
mhm.
try to get it over with and you will communicate, that's 90% of it. The other
Right,
10% is
right.
some great argument. Maybe you made somebody cry on the stand. You made some great objection. You wrote some
Mhm,
brief. Ultimately, what the client wants is the case over as soon as possible. They want to be communicated with so they know what to expect. They really want their questions answered proactively, which means you're answering questions before they know to ask. As you talk about the different stages of the case and what you're going to do and all of that. And if you're doing those things, you're going to be successful. And I don't care if it's law, accountant. I mean, I'm talking about professional services in general, right? Like it really is. And here's the thing: professionals like lawyers and doctors and accountants, they're all being compared to Amazon. And Amazon can deliver ice cream in certain locations.
right, right.
How about that, right? And
Mhm,
milk and cheese to your
right,
front doorstep, right?
right,
I mean, that's crazy. But that's what you're being compared to, right? The other thing is people buy with emotion and they justify later.
right.
All
100%.
businesses are emotional, whether it be food, whether it be $8 cups of coffee at Starbucks, whether it be $30,000 cars. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's emotional.
Mm,
So you have to be able to emotionally connect with your clients so that they will buy from you and then they can justify later, but you already got.
right, 100%. Well, I feel like that's all the time we have today. Jonathan, any last remarks about if they're going in through a specific situation that's related to family law, how could they reach out to you and how can they be sure that you are the right attorney for them there in North Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, you reach out to me. Like I said, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm everywhere. Jonathan Breeden
Mhm,
on X, Breeden Law NC. We're on TikTok, Breeden Law Office, Instagram, Breeden Law Office. Anyway, you just search Breeden Attorney, North Carolina. You're going to find us. You can also LinkedIn. I share a lot of stuff on LinkedIn. We have the Best of Johnson County podcast that's out there on YouTube. Breeden Law Office has hundreds of YouTube videos out
mhm.
there where I answer common questions and had a little bit more hair over the years. So we've got a lot of that stuff out there as well. So we're findable. You reach out to us. There's a contact form on our website. We have chat on our website. So definitely easy to find. I'd be glad to answer anybody's questions about how we're doing or what we're doing and where we're going.
Perfect. Well, everyone, that is the end of our episode today here at Law Fluence's Cases and Connect episode. I'm Nathan, your host. We just talked to Mr. Jonathan Breeden, our family lawyer, and stay tuned for every week. There's another episode. We're going to be filming more, and we'll see you guys soon. Thank you, guys.